You have activated a podcast from the Psychon Network.
And now, on with the show.
Welcome to Retrograde, the show where we send retro games home to avoid the risk of them dying and affecting our reputation. This is episode 23, and today we're going to be discussing the PC title Theme Hospital, developed by Bullfrog Productions. My name is Jack Marshall. I'm joined by Anthony Hobday.
Hello.
Zan Fisher.
Hi.
And Jason Fadian.
Hi.
Hey, podcast.
Woo, podcast.
Back once again, the Retrograde Masters. This chair I'm sitting on's breaking, by the way.
You're breaking it. No, it's just because the knobbly bits come out the hole and it's a bit wobbly.
No one
What have
touched
you
that.
done?
No one
Come on.
touched that. How are we all? How are we all anyway? Everyone good?
Really
Everyone
good.
Yeah.
You had a big weekend, Zan?
I know. It was my birthday. It was awesome. Apart from the fact that I turned a year older, that sucked. But brilliant week actually. Week-long, weekend-long birthday celebrations. So pretty awesome. Pretty tired after it all, but it's probably because I'm old. So
Yeah, get on.
yeah, we're old. I'm not going to start growing up though.
You had a good
Rubbish.
week? It's alright, good week.
Started playing The Walking Dead.
Hey, I started playing The Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Which chapter are you on?
I'm only just about to finish chapter 1.
Oh, I'm like halfway through chapter 2.
Wait, you guys talked about the Activision first-person shooter, right?
Yeah.
It's great.
The Telltale Productions one, right?
Yeah, I was just
Telltale?
kidding.
He's making a joke because there's another Walking Dead game that's terrible.
Yeah.
I've not seen. I saw a trailer for the other one. Is it even out yet? Is it
Yeah.
out now?
It is, and it's ridiculous.
Rubbish.
Oh, all right.
So is the new one? Is it more story based?
Yeah. It's,
And is it more like a point and click as opposed to a first person shooter?
It is there are two ones. There's the first person shooter and the point and click.
No, because I'm talking about the good one.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah,
good one
the-
is the point and click.
Point and click is a
Right,
good
okay.
one. The
Yeah.
first-person shooter is terrible.
I might
Yeah,
play that
and
one then
no,
because
it's,
I have heard it's amazing.
You should play it. It's brilliant. I mean, it's... Jack, which part in chapter 1 are you at?
I'm doing a bit where you've just
Spoilers.
rescued the girl
Spoilers.
who was at the motel and she's locked herself in.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she's been bitten.
Rescued.
That was the bit I've just
Yeah.
done because I started playing it and then I left it for a little while. I don't know why, but I just came back to it today to have a quick blast.
That's
Black
cool.
Ops. That's why Black Ops 2
Oh,
got in the
dear.
way.
I can't believe you stopped playing this game for Black Ops.
I need to. Well, the thing is, I'd say so far it's been a little bit on the slow side, but I can tell it's building up. I love the way the way it's like developing the characters and stuff.
Yeah, the
But I'm starting
characterization, especially Clementine.
Clementine's
She's
starting
like
to get
the
really
best
like
young girl
Yeah.
character I've seen in a game. They're usually really annoying, but
When was the point-and-click game released?
It was before Christmas because my brother-in-law was playing it over
well, it was
Christmas.
released
Quite a
in
while ago.
episodes. Each chapter.
What,
was
do you know when the first episode was released, maybe?
I reckon it's probably just after the first season of Walking Dead had ended.
So, roughly
So
what year
about-
was that?
No,
They're on the
no,
third
no.
season at the moment, so that's 3
So
years
about
No,
ago.
it was
Two
late
years ago,
2012.
Late 2012. Okay, so why are we talking about it?
Because I just started playing it. This is about me.
It's
That's a joke.
banter.
I'm just joking about the
I
the
can't
show.
believe you.
Nina,
We're spending a long time. We're spending a long time on the Walking Dead game, and it's from 2012. so-
Nino Cooney still playing that? Anthony?
Nino Cooney.
Imagine. Have you played Bioshock yet?
Infinite.
Careful,
No.
careful, guys. Careful.
Have you played it yet?
I have not played it yet. I'm waiting for it
This
to
is
drop
a
in.
gaming
I'm waiting for it
podcast,
to
dude.
drop in price. This is like a cheap gaming podcast. I haven't got money.
Thanks for knowing that I would play it, so there's no point. Yeah, exactly. No, it's good, James. Thank
I'm
you.
a student.
How long has Bioshock Infinite been out?
About 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay, why are we talking about it?
Sorry, are we only meant to talk about games that came out this morning, sort of thing?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
Speaking
kidding.
of recent games, oh no, more banter. Sorry, Lisanne. Oh no, we've done you, Anthony. Go.
Today,
Wait, when did you all do me?
Oh hey, whilst you were asleep.
Yeah.
we'll strike that from the record. When I went to the Pavilion Gardens today, which is a park in Brighton, where the squirrels are quite friendly.
Do you know what? Leo nearly managed to get a squirrel on his arm the other day when we were walking through the Pavilion Gardens. So yes,
What
I know
a
those friendly
lad.
squirrels.
Well, I had a pocket full of monkey nuts, as a young man is supposed
Have
to.
you just been to GBK?
No. For some reason, there's a bag of monkey nuts in my kitchen.
Oh,
Someone
okay.
bought, just like in bulk.
Better put these in my pocket just
I
in
asked
case.
because you get free monkey nuts at GBK.
Oh, well, I borrowed some of these from the giant
Burger
bag.
shop.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry, go on.
It's like
more of a
it's a
restaurant.
classier way of
It's a
doing.
burger shop.
Burger shop. We get
I'll take you to the
Why would a
burger
burger
shop.
shop give you out nuts?
Like, free nuts at a bar, for example. It's a
Yeah.
classier way of doing that.
Yeah,
I never eat those.
You shouldn't, but if there are monkey nuts, they're in the shell, so they're fine.
yeah, they're fine.
Carry
but they're
on.
still free nuts.
Anyway, so you had nuts in your pocket.
Pocket full of nuts, as any young man should. I went down to the Pavilion Gardens, and we fed a squirrel, and it came up, took the nut out of my hand, and then Like it puts his little hands on yours and takes a nut. And then it sat on the fence really close to us and ate it, which was great because we could just watch it.
Did it eat the shell, or did it know to crack it open and just eat the nut
It cracks
inside?
it open. They love monkey
clever
nuts.
Welcome to the
Amazing.
Squirrel Podcast. Carry on.
When were squirrels released? Why are we talking about them? No,
Well, no, the grey squirrel is from America, isn't it? It came like the Americans brought them over here, and then
I think
they
it's from
wiped out
America.
the
Took all
red
the
squirrels.
jobs of the red squirrel.
Because our native squirrels are red.
I did not know
The
that.
grey
Although-
squirrels are the invaders
The,
that came along and beat them up.
The Isle of Wight still has red squirrels.
Where did the blue squirrels fit into all this?
Well, that was just Merlin in The Sword and the Stone.
I see.
So
Okay.
Is it,
that was a one-off.
Is it legal to eat squirrels?
I
No, Hugh Fernie Whittingstall. Funny you say this. Mother told me this when I was down in Devon last week. Hugh Fernie Whittingstall has just started serving squirrel at his restaurant in Cornwall.
Oh, one try squirrel.
Well,
Go on, Auntie. What's
the end of
it?
my story was going to be that it was sitting very close to me eating this nut, and so I ended up being bold and petting it for a bit. And so that was like the highlight of my entire day.
What have I been up to? I've had a cold. Got tickly cold. It's been driving me mental.
Tickly cold?
So if my throat cough, if my voice sounds a bit deeper and more sensual than usual, you know,
A throat cough as
it's a
opposed to a
treat for the
nose cough.
listeners, but it's
More
torture for me.
sensual?
More sensual.
Really?
Got a nose cough.
Hi there. But what is
My
actually-
name's Jack Marshall. I've got a cough.
very kindly, and I can't really say because of non-disclosure agreements, but I had a game studio give me an iPad. They contacted me and said, we want you to test a game for us. And I said, they said, okay, this is an iOS game. So I'm sorry, I only do Android. I don't touch iOS. They were like, oh, okay. No, but I said it's because I've got no equipment. And they said, okay, well, how about this? If you do 15 hours worth of testing for us, we'll give you an iPad 2. And I went, yeah, go on then, yeah, sure. So sure enough, I got an iPad 2 the next day. I've been playing on that all weekend, testing their game for them. Not bad. So now I've got my Nexus 7, my laptop, my iPad 2.
Your life
rolling
stories.
screens.
And if you would like to steal all of Jack's stuff, his address is as follows.
They also gave me a Doberman
That's a very important accessory, a Doberman.
and a gun.
For when the Doberman gets unruly.
It's a Nerf gun. Any police listening, it's a Nerf gun.
It's a Doberman with a gun.
We
Where's
could...
happening this year?
Not in Brighton.
In Birmingham. I almost booked tickets without looking to Resd. Then Auntie said, it's in Birmingham, right? And I was like, ooh, dear. Saved me. Saved me a trip to Birmingham, which is always a relief. All right. Anyone else have anything they want to share?
Nope.
Why did you have that book?
Well, one of the three awesome presents Neil got me for my birthday was The Legend of Zelda Hyrule Historia. The big, fat, awesome book full of all the Zelda art from all the Zelda games, with the so-called history of the Zelda games as well.
So cold.
Yeah, it's not really a history. It talks about it more as a legend, and it's got 3 split timelines.
I really thought...
And the games are all from
I
different
really
timelines.
thought it was just going to be artwork. I'm surprised actually how much depth
There's
they've got in it.
there's a lot of
Very
content.
impressive.
Yeah, at the back.
That's really nice.
At the back, there's a really long comic as
Manga.
well. Manga comic, yeah.
The artwork's
Yeah,
so
beautiful.
good.
Yeah, James got one too.
Yeah, Charlotte.
So
you.
Why have you
James and
all-
I are winning.
Why have you... How long ago did this come out?
It was last year, I think it came out. I remember seeing it and saying to my brother, "OMG, I want it. It looks awesome." And then Alex remembered that and then told Neil to get it for me.
Good guy, Alex.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know what kind of theme is the Zelda universe. I guess it's fantasy, but not
Adventure.
really, is it?
Yeah,
It's strange.
fantasy adventure.
It's based on a lot of
Yeah.
sort of old myths and legends. Originally, it was based on Christianity, right? Because his shield has a cross on it.
Oh, maybe.
It started off with a cross on it, and then it developed, and then they developed their own religion.
If you could
within
choose,
the
if you
universe.
could choose a game series or a game for someone to make a book like that on, what
Mario.
game would you choose? Mario. Probably kind of. There's a great one for Half-Life 2 called Raising the Bar. That's really good.
I saw there's one.
Was it lowering the bar? No, it's Raising the Bar.
There's one just for Valve games in general as well. Which
Yeah.
was released.
It's really pretty.
Oh no, it is. It's stunning. You can spend
I'd like
hours
to
just
see,
flicking through it and just looking at it,
I'd like
let
to see
alone
Doom,
reading
actually.
it.
I think Doom would be an interesting one to see all the... I've read all the making
Yeah.
of that. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. Anyway, Theme Hospital.
Yeah! Theme Hospital.
Theme Hospital, yeah. So before we start talking about it, let's have a quick blurb on the game from the founder of Psychon.net, Brecky Double K Thomason.
Theme Hospital is a management simulation game played from an isometric perspective wherein the user must create and maintain a hospital by building rooms, hiring staff, balancing the books, and curing patients. The game was developed by UK-based studio Bullfrog Productions and was released in 1997 to commercial and critical success, going on to sell over 4 million copies. Since its release, the game has become a constant fan favorite and has been ported to numerous platforms, including Android, PlayStation, and even a totally open-sourced version of the game called CrossXTH.
Thanks for that, Brecky. I actually went to try. I was going to contact, and I thought, actually, it's really weird. I tracked down the woman who was the voice of the announcers.
Really?
I found out her name and where she works and stuff like that. But she was literally just like a friend of one of the Bullfrog Productions people. She was not a voiceover artist, nothing like that. And I was going to contact her, and I thought, that's really creepy, isn't it? To contact her and say, I was going to see if she wanted to do the voiceover, and I thought, that'd be really weird if I went, I'm the host of a podcast, would you like to
But
do
you
the
could have
voiceover?
asked.
No,
But she
I
found
think
it
it's still
creepy.
weird.
Don't she?
I think she'd be like, how did you find my email address? And I'd be like, oh.
Well, if she works in the...
Put it
Does
this
she
way,
work in-
I had to go through IMDb, found out that she got married and changed her name. That was where it gets a bit creepy. And then managed to find where she works based on her name and where she was like linked. It got a bit deep. I spent way too much time trying to find
really
her.
did.
I know. That's why I didn't contact her, because I went, actually, no. And she
probably
probably
gets-
she probably turned up and just recorded it on for like half hour and no one's ever mentioned it to her again. But yeah, she was the voice of the announcer.
She probably gets podcast requests every week.
Oh yeah, she must. I mean, she must get sick of the.
She'll be sick and tired.
She
of
must
it.
have-
Patients are reminded not to leave rubbish lying around.
She
We
must
got her
get-
anyway.
Yeah, she must get Theme Hospital fans knocking on the door all the time.
No.
Going, do the voice, do the voice.
Knocking on the door of her house,
It's like, leave me
shouting,
alone.
"Do the voice."
Every time she sees a helicopter, she's like, oh, they're on to me again. Oh. Lizanne, you chose this game. Why?
Because it's awesome. And everyone I know who has ever played it loves it. And everyone I know has had at least one occasion where they have lost themselves in the game and accidentally spent far too long playing it.
Why
That's
do you
like
think?
heroin in my life.
Why do you think it's lovable? And why do you think it's awesome?
Because it's hilarious. It's simple to learn how to play,
Yeah.
but it's difficult to play well, if that makes sense. Like,
You got to learn the ropes.
yeah, the controls are very easy, and it does ease you into it with the first level. But then it does quickly become progressively harder, and you really have to learn every single menu screen. But it's not overwhelming. Like Transport Tycoon is overwhelming with the amount of choices you have so early on.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Whereas
say-
the Theme Hospital, you're limited early on, and it teaches you the basics before then guiding you through how to do it, and then they get harder and harder. I've never completed Theme Hospital. I've never managed to get to the last level.
I was going to say there's going to be a lot of comparisons. I think, especially from me, between
Yeah.
this and Transport
Transport Tycoon, definitely.
And Transport Tycoon,
the humour
definitely-
in this isn't. Did I mention
Oh.
the humour?
No.
hilarious.
The
I think
humour
so.
is also a key feature. There's visual humour and there's auditory humour. It's just wonderful.
But yeah, I was going to say I think Transport Tycoon kind of throws you in the deep end,
Yeah.
whereas Team Hospital is a much more accessible sim game.
Yes,
Yeah, it's less,
definitely.
it's less of a sandbox and more
Yeah.
of a sort of linear.
Yeah, which is why I like it. And it's got levels,
Yeah.
which is what was my main criticism
Yeah, I
of
was-
Transport Tycoon, is that it didn't have levels.
it's-
It was too open for my liking. I didn't like it. I had no goals. Whereas with Theme Hospital, you've got very clearly defined goals. You get your yearly updates. You can see at any point how well you're doing, what you need to work on, what you need to improve to make your hospital a success. So yeah,
I feel like a lot of people can get really engrossed in sim games if they were just given the option, like the opportunity. Whereas something like Transport Tycoon, I can get engrossed in that, but you do have to learn how the user interface works. Whereas this game kind of eases you in, and it's easier to get engrossed.
Yes.
Simply because the barrier to entry is much lower. So I think that's a pretty
and the
fantastic.
humour makes it
Yeah, the
more
humour-
enjoyable.
In the meantime,
So you want to spend more time
yeah, before
in
you
it.
get engrossed, the humour drags
Yeah,
you in. Whereas
yeah.
Transport Tycoon isn't really humorous. It's got like
I'd say
newspaper-
it's humourless.
Well, it's got like newspaper headlines, right? That are kind of humorous.
Pretty funny when a train crashes.
Yeah, but we're talking about Transport Tycoon, Jack.
Yeah.
So I think this, the low barrier to entry makes this a much better game purely because a lot more people can enjoy it
Yeah.
than Transport Tycoon.
Like people I know who don't really like playing games love Theme Hospital.
I think that the modern incarnation probably is something like Sims because that's a very simple barrier to entry. It's something everyone understands.
Yeah.
But it becomes engrossing because you get invested in
In the character
the
you created.
characters. And that's another thing, it's got so much character. This game is not like Sims, whereas Transport Tycoon doesn't have as much character because you're doing trains,
There's
not
no
people.
character.
That makes sense.
Stabbing
Was
me right in the heart.
I know you're going to be
Stabbing
stabbing me in the heart in a minute.
when was
so,
Transport
yeah.
Tycoon released though? It's an earlier game, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, can we
Off the
remember?
top of my head, the Transport Tycoon was about 3 years before.
Because this was
Theme
97,
Hospital.
right?
97. I think Transport Tycoon was about 94, 95.
Yeah.
Off the top
So,
of my
it's
head.
going to be less
Mm.
sort of polished and rounded.
Anthony, so did you want to follow up since you'd already kind of started saying what you thought of the game? Do you want to follow that up?
You liked it, Anthony?
Yeah, I really like it, and like Lizanne, I used to play this when I was a child, so it's got a nostalgia factor. But playing it as an adult, hopefully I can cut through all that. But like I say, I think it's very accessible. The humour's great. There's not enough humour in a lot of sim games.
Yeah.
SimCity, for example, is one of the premier sim games. A lot of people know it, but the humour in that's kind of limited to the funny faces on the advisors.
I love the level of detail they go through with the humour as well. Like, I mean, the diseases that the patients have are hilarious because they're obviously not real diseases.
Yeah.
But then what I love is watching them being cured. Obviously, you know, the floaty head syndrome.
Yeah.
That's one of my favourites. I know it's one of the first ones, but I just watching them getting healed, and then they go into the inflator room, and their head gets popped, and then the doctor pumps it back up, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm fixed," and then they go out, and it's really funny.
Transport Tycoon came out in 1994. Just quickly looked up. Just to get the
And this
facts
was
straight.
what?
This was 90.
About for 3 years before Theme Hospital.
Okay.
But after the original SimCity by quite a way.
Did you say floaty head or bloaty head?
Bloaty head, that's what it is.
Oh, I think you might have said floaty head, and I was
I did say
fans
floaty.
will hear that and go crazy.
I did say floaty, it is bloaty head, you're right.
We've had comments before and mispronounced.
We have.
Doctor
Even
to inflator room.
I think that's the point. Like the animations and things. One of the reasons I still like it is, and I think one of the reasons it's still being sold today. Like you can go into Game and get it, or any game store if you're not from the
Yeah,
store.
you can still buy
Along
it
with games
in the
like
shops.
Worms, this is another example of a game that's still available now to buy.
Yeah, I think games like this and even Worms is a good example. I think they're still around because there's so much charm and character in the animations and everything, and the graphics are so colourful and vibrant that it stands up. Like you get similar graphics on, say, iOS games or Android games on the phone, so people are still used to that kind of style of graphics. Whereas something like Transport Tycoon, it's still got decent isometric graphics, but it hasn't got the same charm that sort of is timeless.
I'd say it's charmless.
Just going to sit here and not say anything. No comment.
He's doing what I do, and I hate a game. Can we have James then, before you, Jack?
I don't know, has Anthony finished saying what he
Yeah, I
thought?
think so. I'm going to say a lot more about it during the show.
Yeah, as am I.
So. We'll go to James.
This
Rocking.
one, I mean,
Hit me.
I can. Okay. Who developed this? It was Bullfrog.
Bullfrog.
Right?
Bullfrog.
Who was the head honcho of Bullfrog before that?
Peter Molyneux was kind of the main
So because
guy.
he was involved in the.
Him and a few others, yes. I'll quickly find out.
Are you purposely testing Jack?
No.
You're genuinely curious.
Genuinely curious.
Right.
I think
okay.
it might be leading up to
I know, what's his
a crack
address?
about Peter Molyneux.
The producer was Mark Webley. He was also pretty much involved in it. Les Edgar were the founders of Bullfrog. Les Edgar and Peter Molyneux. You probably pronounced the names wrong, but those two kind of
see,
led
okay.
the development of female.
No, I'm not. I mean, that was just curiosity. It's for me personally. I mean, from an objective standpoint, if such a thing can exist, I can appreciate the game's merits. I mean, it's well put together. There are a lot of mechanics working at once. I placed it in my mind in the same sort of area as Transport Tycoon, because for me, I used to play StarCraft 2 quite a lot. I like the multiplayer. I like that you had to sort of learn it and deal with all of these mechanics at once. And it reminds me of the micromanagement aspect of StarCraft, but with none of the sort of
Pressure?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just it's hard for me to pin down. Really, I feel like I'm always doing a chore when I play the game. I feel like I'm always just okay, I'm going to do this so that I can do something, and then I never get to do the something because I'm just sort of doing menus.
Oh, you mean like
in Theme Hospital? Or
Yeah,
in
in Theme Hospital.
Oh, okay.
So you mean like in StarCraft, there's a payoff because you have this battle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas
and
in Theme
sort of
Hospital, there's no battle. It's just keeping it running.
Effectively, yeah. I don't like it feels very bureaucratic, and I'm not.
Well, yeah, I suppose it is.
It is, yeah.
I don't know. For me, it's just it didn't strike
But remember,
me.
it follows the American medical system.
Yeah, I know.
It's
It's
not
hilarious
the
seeing them-
NHS.
Despite
I'd
being,
love to see the
despite
NHS
being
Theme
a
Hospital.
British-based
Yeah.
game studio over in Guildford.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, but Bullfrog were
They
very,
put so much
very
emphasis
British.
on the payment and everything. And,
2AL.
Yeah, no, it's funny seeing them going in and paying and stuff. That's
well, there's that.
You can change the price if you go really into it. You can change the prices of the procedures.
Yeah, I never knew that.
and make
until I
it more
found
or
out.
less expensive. Yeah, I only found that out when I came back to it 2 years ago, I think.
Well, there's the opening cinematic that I always found quite funny, and that's one of the things that hasn't held up because the cinematics aren't very well
that's
rendered.
poor. Yeah.
But right at the start, they're operating on that guy, and mid-operation, they find out that he hasn't got any like a good credit score or something,
Yeah.
or no credit or something. So they dump him into the pit below the operating table. So that's definitely an American viewpoint because you can't do that in NHS.
they hate people.
Another little animation thing I just remembered that always amused me was when they changed into their surgical gowns behind the board, and then they'd have their surgical gowns on, and then the patients, and then they turn around to go on the operating table, and you can see their bottoms.
If we're going to talk about animations, my favourite is when a character's on a toilet and he's going...
Oh, that's such a good one.
It's disgusting.
It's but it's the little things like that which just
Have you noticed how,
make you come back to it time and time again because they're so funny.
have you noticed how short the doors are on those toilets?
Yeah.
The store at the front, yeah.
No privacy.
I used to put
Yeah.
loads of windows in the toilets as well. You know,
It makes them
for
happier.
people like me. Go on, James. Finish your...
The soundtrack also is very jarring. It's,
I agree.
it's camp in its kitchen all the way.
It's so good.
It's so memorable when it started
No.
playing.
Yeah.
It's just,
No, I agree with James. Music's awful.
that might be a nostalgia thing for me and Azam.
It must be a
when
nostalgia
it starts
thing for
playing,
us
it
too.
just,
is.
it's so happy making.
It's like a really synthetic bubblegum flavour in my mouth that I just can't get rid of, ever.
Which is why it's funny when someone dies and you've got this lovely, lilting tune in the background, and it's just this lovely contrast.
Yeah.
No?
I think the sound effects and the voiceover I really like. It's just
Yeah.
the music
Yeah.
itself. I never enjoyed the music too much.
It is kind of elevated music, I suppose.
It is supposed to be
Well,
background. you're not supposed to be
you're not
focusing
meant to
on the
kind of
music. It's
notice
just
it, I
there
guess.
to fill the gaps between. Oh, I was about to do a thing, but I
Do-
can't remember a
do a
quote. I
voice
can't
again.
remember a line. Give me a
So
line.
James, it's always
Sound
just
after the show.
Nurse to pharmacy.
yeah. So to
To
summarize,
sum up my thoughts,
summarize
it's
your
well put
experience.
together, but I can't appreciate it from an aesthetic standpoint or from any kind of atmospheric or story-based standpoint because there isn't.
And that's what
there isn't
you
story.
love about the game.
That is what I'm in it for. So I mean, mechanically, it's well put together, but it didn't grab me in any meaningful
So
way.
before the show, you hadn't played Theme Hospital?
No, not at all.
Okay. Did you know it existed?
Yes, it's very popular. So like, it was a
Okay.
cult classic.
Did
Was
you-
it a cult classic or just quite a mainstream?
No, it's an incredibly well-selling game.
Weren't they giving it away with papers or cereal or something?
It wouldn't surprise me.
I
at some
think,
point.
yeah, because I think I had a demo when it first came out.
Yeah.
Played that, and then when I was at uni, I saw it. I was in 2004. When I started uni, it was on sale in Game in town where I went to uni, and it was only going for like a £5. I was like, Theme Hospital for a £5. Thankfully, I was in my first year, so my grades didn't count because I lost a lot of time to
It
Theme
was
Hospital on that one.
commercially and critically a great success. Sold over 4 million copies, which at the time was like, and it's still selling. Like,
Yeah.
it still sells maybe like
If
a couple of 500,000.
in case any listeners want to pick it up, it's now on GOG.com.
Yeah.
Good old
GOG.
games. So they don't have to find a disc copy; they can just get it, and it runs on Windows 7 and everything.
And of course,
perfectly
there's
well.
the open source version of Core 6TH.
I don't think it's feature complete yet.
it's not yet, but I mean they're getting pretty close.
No.
Is it THX?
Core 6TH.
6TH.
Right.
TH, I think.
But unless you want like the upgraded resolution, which I don't think is necessary, the GOG version is modern
Yeah.
compatible. So
Oh
that's-
yeah, definitely.
James, I wanted to ask: did you said you played Roller Coaster Tycoon?
No,
Oh no. Okay. Did you play Theme Park?
no.
Because that was like the predecessor to this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a
Did you
similar.
have a childhood, James?
He just said he played StarCraft.
Oh, so no, you didn't have a childhood.
Childhood.
Says Transport Tycoon Boy. Oh, give me that isometric paper. Oh.
But Jack,
Was it my turn?
what do you think of the game?
Well, I need to take you back down a little journey, little story, back to
time and space.
1997. Princess Diana was about to die and all that.
1997.
And no, 97. I had Theme Park, and I loved Theme Park.
I love Theme Park
I
as
was
well.
absolutely hooked on Theme Park. So I remember reading magazines about Theme Hospital coming out, and I got so excited. I mean, I don't think I've ever been more excited for a game, and I started absolutely penny grabbing anything. I was asking my mum, can I change the beds, do washing up for like 20p pieces, 50p pieces, and it was £35, which at the time to a kid, I think I got like £4, and I was like, oh, if I get more of these, I can get the game. So I saved up for so long. It was about 4 months. I finally got it.
How old were you in 97?
22.
I think I was like 13. Yeah, 13, something like that. So I was really kind of just get some money to get this game. It was really
No,
bad.
wait,
and I
you
was,
must have been like 9 or 10.
1997. Yeah, about 11.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I was really excited to get it, and I got it, and I've got my copy here. This is my original, all the way from 1997 CD-ROM version of the game, which I was so excited. Yeah, I actually did get worried, thinking maybe I shouldn't put that in my bag because it might break. And I got the game, and then and at the time I absolutely loved it because I think there was no way I wasn't going to love it because I was so
Yeah.
desperate to play it. the thing. But going back and playing it now, being with a bit more
Have you played it since you first got it?
I've played it. I've come back to it a few times, and mostly for nostalgia. But when I actually sat down and properly played it now, it kind of saddened me to say that I really don't enjoy it. I'm surprised, and I had to really sit back and kind of again go into my thinking corner and think, well, why did that happen?
The toilet.
So I started thinking, and the first thing I had to come across, and I asked someone on Twitter, like, what genre is this game? Because I guess it's a business simulation.
Yeah.
Right? That's fair enough. But it's kind of, because it's so comedy-esque at the surface, you kind of think, well, no, is it really? But I guess so. So I started thinking about things.
It's a con sim.
And I was trying to think, it's not a strategy.
Well, it is strategy because you have to plan it. If you
This
don't build your hospital in the right way to begin with, then you will fail.
I was starting to think about why I didn't like the game, and I realised one of the big things about the game is I've never got past about the 5th level. Never. Ever. Like, it just got too difficult. And then, so I started thinking about what I liked about simulation games or strategy games, things. So the first one, which is not really applicable, but there's no resource management. Apart from money, you don't ever have to gather resources, which is something I like in a game. I like building up a stockpile. But again, that doesn't really apply to business simulation.
Well, you kind of do, because you have to do research to get get new medicines, to get new equipment, to get new treatment rooms.
But this is my other thing about it.
You have to teach doctors so you can have them to staff your hospital.
Apart from the size of the rooms and what you're building, you don't see much visual growth. Like with a strategy game, you see your army growing. It's quite nice to see your army growing. I know you can see your hospital growing, but once you build everything in the hospital...
What grows is the patients who come to visit the hospital.
Again... But that's not
element.
your army, if that makes sense. Your growing element is the rooms you're building.
Yeah, but you're attracting them to your hospital because it's good, like in theme park.
But those aren't my units.
In theme park,
I can't control them.
Yeah, but you love theme park. Theme park,
and
it's
again,
the same concept. You're building something to attract people.
Yeah, no, but those aren't
and it grows in that way.
But those aren't my units. They're not. That's not. I know you're right, but I'm not. That's not like I'm not giving birth to those units like you do in, say, a strategy game like Age of Empires. I'm not building an army, which again maybe doesn't apply to a business simulation. That's probably a silly thing to say. Again, but then again, when there's no enemy, there's no opposition, there's no one I'm trying to crush. I'm just trying to do better.
There's the other computer hospitals in the area.
But you don't ever attack them.
Well, yeah.
You don't really see.
But the big one, sorry, I was going to say, the big one that really got me about this game that I realised going back, if you were to look at all 4 of us playing this game and look at our hospitals, they'd all look pretty similar. Like, there's no customisation of...
Colours and things, you mean?
Sort
of.
But I mean, it's mostly just placement.
But even then, yeah, apart from just where you place your chairs or where you put your reception desk, stuff like, there's not much room to have your own unique input on your hospital.
I will say that there is essentially an ideal way to play this game, and the way to get past more difficult levels is basically to learn the ideal way to do it. So at that point...
I'm just going to pop to my room and get my game, because I just remembered I have a printout in there that would be relevant to this conversation, so I should be back post-haste.
Well, but what I was going to quickly go on to is what I realised from playing the game, which I never realised when I was a kid, is that basically the whole game is micromanagement. Or as I like to call it, spinning, keeping the plates spinning.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing. That's what I think you're doing, is you're basically trying to keep all the plates balanced, which I don't mind. But then when I started thinking about the mechanics a little bit more about what actually you're doing, there's little things you have to do which I don't like. Like, doctors will leave rooms, for example. If they say doctor required in pharmacy, a doctor will just leave his room and go to another room. It's like, no, don't do that. Stay there. And like, you can't say to, like, you could say to the janitors only water plants, but you can't say where they walk. So you could pick up a janitor, put him right next to a plant, and he'll bugger off.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, no, water that plant. And it was little things like that, little micromanagement. And there was a thing I looked up, which I was talking on a forum. I didn't even... This is why the game annoyed me a little bit. Doctors, if you don't put a staff room in, will go crazy. They'll have hair that goes blah. And
yeah, that's because they're overtired.
But that has no impact. Behind the scenes in the mechanics, that actually has no impact on their time to heal patients or anything like that.
I think it does.
Yeah, they don't work anymore. They refuse to work.
This was a forum I just saw it on.
Guys, it was on a forum.
It's on a forum.
Are you saying that
kind of
everyone assumes it has an impact, but actually with the mechanics it doesn't?
Because
I thought there was a real impact on their time to heal and everything.
This is the thing that I kind of... Like I said, like, for Wild Exams, that room, like I said, because it's micromanagement, you're balancing things. I don't know, I just found it was always a bit... And that's why I never got past the 5th level, because it's not that it got too hard, it just kind of got way too, like, I'm putting a nurse there, dragging around, moving around, thing. It wasn't like a thing I could just build a hospital and watch it grow. Like Roller Coaster Tycoon, you could just build it and let it grow and watch it be thing. But Theme Hospital was about building it and then spending your time keeping it all running and maintaining it. Which is good, which is what a business simulation is. But I realised that I was originally drawn to the game for the characters and the humour, but actually the game is actually surprisingly quite deep in terms of micromanagement, and that's where I stopped enjoying it, I guess.
I will say I played the game on easy, just because if it starts to get frustrating, then I get frustrated and I don't like it anymore. But I got quite far past the 5th level as far as I know. And once
12 levels.
Yeah. Oh, 12?
Yeah.
I think maybe I got to level 7 or so.
I got up to 11 back in the day.
But
yeah, go on, you finish, Anthony.
I think if you learn the right way to build a hospital, and this is what I'm saying, there is one right way, basically, then I found there was far less micromanagement, but that might be because I was playing on easy.
No, it is all about the right way. What I was going to get, I've
cool.
actually thrown away the printout that I had. But it was a printout of level 12.
Right.
The very final level with the layout of the hospital and where you should build everything, including square sizes and things like that. And it was like, right, build this, you will defeat the game. Because I printed out ready because I was on a big run. And I was like, right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do level 11 and I've got my help for level 12, so that's fine. I'm going to do this. And no, I never did level 11 and I didn't want to do a strategy for that one.
I found my last thing I was going to say about the game, but this might just be I wasn't looking in the right places. I found it was very hard to find if you started going badly, apart from visual elements of like there's a lot of sick around and things, it was hard to know what was going wrong. What? Did anyone else get that?
No, because there's a menu that you can look at which tells you.
Well, there's... Oh, maybe I just didn't see this. Because I'd have the guy pop up occasionally and go, need to build more GP offices. And I'll go, do I? Bloody hell.
There's a button in the bottom right with the little... I can't remember the symbol on it, but you can click it and then it shows how hot your hospital is, how happy everyone is, how much money you've got compared to everyone else as well, how close you are to winning the level.
Does it tell you, like Roller Coaster Tycoon, you could see what everyone's saying, and like they'll all be saying,
there's no customer feedback
this
like
ride
that.
is too intense, but there was nothing like...
But you could click on the doors of waiting rooms
that was what I
and you
started
could see the
discovering.
queues.
I was like, there's a queue.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I mean, it was fun, and maybe I just didn't go around the game. I mean, it's more me as a player that I didn't enjoy it rather than the game, but I don't know, I guess I was kind of lured in by the colour and the fun and the thing, which I still love the game. I think it's a great little game. But I think once you get down to the deep micromanagement and the actual mechanics behind the game and what's making it work in the background, I didn't enjoy that. I don't like things like... I don't like stuff having to pick up doctors and move them around. I know it sounds really silly, but it's like...
You can make them stay in one room, you know.
Can you?
Yes.
Because I didn't know that.
No, you can.
See,
you
I
can
didn't know
limit
that.
them.
I'll be honest,
so
that
they can go to the staff room and then back to their room, and that's it. They stay in that room.
See, I did not know that was an option. I didn't find that.
I didn't know that was an option either.
Yeah, neither did I.
But I never had a problem with them leaving a home
That's
back.
why I got to level 11.
Oh, I used to have it with a doctor needed in GP office, and suddenly I'd look and there's all these doctors going, I'm going to run for the GP office. I was like, no, you're a psychiatrist. Get in that room.
If there's a need for a doctor, then one will go there, and that's fine, as long as...
Yeah. But you can make them stay there. It's on when you click on the individual doctor and you call up their profile page, then you can click stay in room. I
just found as well in the game, there was a lot of stuff that I kind of... not that it was rushed to release, but there's a lot of stuff which... For example, the receptionist doesn't go to the staff room.
Yeah, the receptionist does nothing. I never understood the function of the receptionist.
I guess there must have been...
nothing.
During the game when they were making it, there must have been a time when they had that discussion, they went... No, let's not make the reception. So there must be a reason why, but I don't know. I guess there's just little bits like that where it was inconsistent in its design across the game. Sometimes it would bother me. Not that it was a bad thing, but like the receptionist was like, there was no reason to ever sack the receptionist. Basically,
she never did anything.
Pick
She
the
never
lowest
complained.
paid one.
Yeah.
So
She
why would you ever pick one that was higher paid? It didn't do anything.
Exactly.
And that's
yeah.
kind of, it was just little things like that which kind of threw off. Like some parts of it were really deep. Like the research stuff was like really important. You had to think about what you do. And there's some stuff like picking a receptionist which had no thought in whatsoever. I don't know, maybe that was just little things probably. But anyway, I've talked for far too long now, so... Anyone got any points about the game?
You made me realise that perhaps the simplicity, the accessibility kind of makes a lot of people play... Because the kind of people who play Transport Tycoon want to get into all those really deep mechanics. But since Theme Hospital is so fun and accessible on the surface, you kind of maybe find yourself ignoring the mechanics.
Yeah.
And there are screens that I don't remember ever using when I was young and playing this, that I recently discovered while I was playing it for this show, that turned out pretty helpful. But you can just never click some of those buttons in the bottom right corner. Because,
yeah, it's true.
Especially on easy, you don't need them. Like the research screen, you can just leave it all on 20%.
Did everyone else do what I do when you start off a level and you change the game speed to slowest?
Yes.
And then spend all your money
Yeah.
building the hospital and then put it back on normal because then you don't get
I
patients.
did not
to-
do that.
Yeah.
I think it also
Guile.
helps for hiring because other hospitals can
Yeah.
steal doctors and stuff.
Yeah.
So if you slow it down, you can get the good picks.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that I really like. Roller Coaster Tycoon, I think, is a fantastic game.
Yeah,
But it doesn't have speed controls. The second game did, but it was a worse game than the first game.
I see.
Theme Hospital does have speed controls, and I think any sim game needs speed controls.
Yeah.
Because if you're just waiting around for the end of the year because you've hit the win condition.
Yeah.
Like Roller Coaster Tycoon, so much of my time was spent waiting for the end of the year because I already had a park that hit the right money or worth or anything. So this the Theme Hospital having speed controls, you just stick it on 6 and wait until the end of the year. That was perfect.
One thing I did want to talk about, which I think, which I actually really miss about Theme Hospital and Bullfrogs, the studio, is I want to talk about the legacy of the game. But it's really sad because the legacy of the game has kind of been taken and it's been turned into something else. I mean, there are still simulation games you can get, but they're kind of hidden away in like PC shops. They're hard to find. And this game now, basically, the isometric sim game has basically become Farmville, which is,
Yeah.
in mechanics wise,
Which is sad.
it is sad because.
Well, I mean, SimCity
I mean,
just
well-
came out.
Yeah, but what I mean is the fact that it would be so great if someone took the mechanics of this game and applied it to Farmville on an iPhone.
right,
What I mean
I
is
see.
that they had a huge
And
impact.
then there's
I'm sure there are some, but
there's Game Dev Story.
Game Dev Story is a good example. Actually, that one is
That's
a good
brilliant.
example.
I've got that, and I've got their follow-up game, Dungeon Village, and they also did one which was in a Japanese health spa as well, which I
guess
bought, but I didn't like that one.
What I meant was, it's just a shame that
Is it
somebody
Cairo
took
stuff?
the idea of Theme Hospital, and what got popular though was the money. What do they call it? Monetization, like the money making behind the game of making people, and the low immersion of letting them come back like every day
For casual gaming, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just a shame because if that huge area of casual gaming now of those people who are playing Farmville, like if they had been given a game like Theme Hospital instead of Farmville, it might have done a lot better for the games industry, especially on tablets and things like that.
Yeah.
it's just a shame that that's what got popular, and that kind of formula was based on Theme Hospital.
Well, yeah, but there's a reason that became so much more popular. It's because all of the sort of tricky or challenging elements were stripped away, and you're just left with the
Gee, that's-
basic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had to invite your friends into it, so it therefore became quickly popular because then everyone would join it. I
think-
was sucking in for about a month. I didn't pay any money towards it though.
I think Theme Hospital, like I was saying, it's accessible because people like the graphics, it's cutesy and everything, and that's why something like Farmville is successful because people like the graphics, it's cutesy and everything. But you get... My next door neighbour in Cornwall was playing Farmville, and she's almost completely computer illiterate. Whereas I don't think she would have gotten into any of the deeper stuff in Theme Hospital. So she just would have wanted the surface layer cutesy stuff. And, you know,
I
there's
guess
definitely a
so.
market
I
for
just
that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
I wish Farmville was a little bit more
But that's
of a game.
But that's you wishing that because you'd enjoy it more. Whereas
No, no,
Because
no.
because
it's not 'cause I
you're a
enjoy
gamer
it.
and that's what you know.
Exactly. It's never going to be possible. Though. I mean, I've been playing games for almost my entire life, and this game irritates me. It's not open and easy enough for me. It still
But
sometimes
like,
gives
there
me
are
trouble, so
games like Plants vs Zombies, for example. I'd say it's a very good game.
Oh,
It's also,
it's amazing.
it's also phenomenally
people
simple.
who are very casual games. Yeah, I know exactly.
It's
But that's what I
literally
mean.
the
But
basest point.
maybe
and
not
click.
as in depth as Theme Hospital, but it
Nowhere
would've been-
near as in depth as
No.
Theme
I mean,
Hospital.
if someone made Farmville back then, when they were like, "Wow, Facebook gaming, this is big. What should we do?" They decided, "Hey, let's do things like grinding and like pottering and things like that, and just low immersion money making." Where it's like it's a shame someone
no,
didn't
they
go,
wanted-
"Let's do Theme Hospital, but take out the really complicated stuff and just let people have fun building." It
No,
would've
they
been quite
wanted
nice.
the whole point of it is that they wanted people to keep coming back
Yeah.
to Facebook, keep them coming back to the website, keep getting more and more and more hits so they can get more and more revenue from advertising. That's why these games are developed. That's why the only thing you can grow on Farmville at the beginning is something that grows in 2 hours or 4 hours. Is you have to come back really quickly, otherwise the crops are
Oh, no,
spoiled and you don't get the.
I completely agree, but what I mean is
Farmville
that's
is
kind of lowest common denominator game design.
But that
And
always-
it's-
Oh,
that
it
wo-
is,
that works
but they did
because-
it. But they did it to get the hits, to get
Oh,
people
no,
to
no,
keep
I
coming
agree.
back.
Zenga's valued at like 20 billion now.
They
or
don't
something
want. They
ridiculous.
don't want you to stay on the page for an hour doing a level like in Theme Hospital. They don't want that because
Oh, no,
they
I
get one hit from
I
you.
get that. I'm just saying that it's a shame that the legacy that Theme Hospital leads on is things like. I mean, there are simulation games that still exist, but they're nowhere near as popular. It's a shame that the legacy of Theme Hospital has been twisted into Farmville,
Well,
which is what's a shame. Do you know
I
what
said
mean?
earlier that Sims 3 is like modern, and I think that's the real.
Sims was a massive success.
I think that's the
Huge
real
game
game's
franchise.
descendant in
I
air
don't care for
quotes.
Sims. I don't enjoy it.
I'm not a fan of.
Did you ever hear of a game called Cow Clicker? Did you ever hear about that?
No.
Cow Clicker was a game. I was talking about. It was created by a guy called Ian Boxer. So if you ever get a chance, read up about it. It's interesting because he wanted to show how bad Farmville was as a game. I mean, Time magazine put Farmville as one of the 50 worst inventions of the 21st century
Excellent.
or this century, whatever. But Cow Clicker was a game where basically a guy came along and said, "I want to show you how addictive these games are and how badly they are." So he made a game where all you had to do was every 6 hours you get to click on a cow, and every time you click, you get a slight little reward and things like that. And if you click like 100 times, you get a hat for your cow. And he wanted to show how, even though you're doing nothing apart from clicking a button, people come back and keep coming back, and they did in their millions. Cow Clicker. So
good.
he had.
Wait. You can get a hat.
He hit 56,000 users at his peak. And so what happened, to show just how it was, he purposely broke the game and made it so the cow didn't appear. So you were clicking on a white space, and people still came in. And he said, he even got to the point where they basically said, I'm going to close the game if we don't get this many clicks. He said it was Cowmageddon. 2011, it was like June the 27th, the game was going to end. And users went mental. They were trying to raise money. They raised something like 2 million to keep the game going, even though they were just clicking on a white space with nothing there. They were just clicking every 6 hours to get another point. And that was it.
I mean,
Word.
But that's an extreme edge case. That was,
I think
it was
that's
just
more a
quite
comment on the
interesting.
human condition than any kind of game design aspect, really.
You can say that proves the point, but
It doesn't prove it. I mean, it's just interesting.
If you're
with
talking about like
Farmville.
input methods, almost every game can be reduced to almost nothing. Like a first-person shooter, you could say is involved, or even Theme Hospital, but you're basically clicking boxes, and it's mostly visual response. Yeah. But you were speaking about Bullfrog earlier.
Yes, there's a lot to be said about Bullfrog. Yeah.
I want to say that Theme Hospital, Dungeon Keeper, Theme Park, and everything, that was when Molyneux was making good games, or at least games that didn't overpromise and underdeliver. So it's a shame that Molyneux then went on to form Lionhead, carried on making sim games.
Great games.
They might have been great on their own, but with Molyneux's promises...
Well, I'm assuming that he didn't have a PR guy when he was talking about Fable.
Yeah,
he
and
probably didn't talk much about Theme Hospital.
he basically George Lucased it, because his early games were fantastic because he had other people...
Black and White is a great game.
And he wasn't famous yet, and then he went off on his own, he had the fame, he had the money, his own studio. Suddenly he was overpromising, underdelivering. So I wish he would have stayed with Bullfrog and not been famous, because he was making great games back then.
I don't know, I think Fable's a much better game overall. The original
I know, it's
Fable.
just in the context of his promises, they weren't.
Yeah.
If he just said, like, we're releasing a new adventure game, here it is, probably would have blown people away. But he said, like, you can marry everyone,
Yeah.
it's like living a second life, and it's like,
My favourite Bullfrog game was made when he wasn't there. It was Populous New Beginning. Absolutely love that game. I think it's absolutely
Which
brilliant.
maybe proves that Molyneux wasn't the key component.
Well, it's always, we've said this before in shows, it's not down to one person, it's a team.
No.
And
That's what I'm saying,
why
George Lucas did.
Bullfrog's one of the best examples of the EA hate mongering. People are always going to look straight to Bullfrog and go, oh, look what I did to Bullfrog. But it was like, well, no, the most of the creative part of the teams had already gone on to make other studios and gone other places.
Yeah.
And then EA is a bit of a hit and miss thing with me, because people forget that EA were the only people that would back Populous when they were pitching that. The guys at Bullfrog admit they were like, we no one would buy Populous, and EA were the only ones that would put up the money for it.
When did EA buy Bullfrog?
EA bought. Well, they merged Bullfrog into their kind of sister studios in 2000 into their EA UK offices that are based over in Guildford in a place called Chertsey.
That was well before the EA hate machine kind of got.
They've always been. They were. Well, no, back in about 2003, EA were really hated because of the fact they were just churning out FIFAs and Harry Potters and the same games and the Sims, and people were saying, "Oh yeah," basically what Activision are kind of now. So then EA in 2007 went, okay, we're going to make a big effort to make new IPs. So they did like Mirror's Edge and Army of Two and Dead Space and stuff like that. And they lost a lot of money, like huge amounts of money. Well, Activision just went, because Medal of Honor also went down. So EA were like, oh crap, what are we going to do? And now, like with 5 years later, and EA is still trying to get back their market hold by doing whatever they can. And whatever they can do is obviously really not making gamers happy.
That's bizarre, because I remember I specifically remember the point in time at which EA kind of started to redeem themselves, and it's weird that when that started to happen, they started making so much less money. It's kind of
Activision back in 2007 were cancelled about 3 titles, and EA went, we'll buy all of them and we'll release them. Things like Brutal Legend, for example, because there was that whole thing about when he made the joke about if Activision loved it, Tim Schafer said if Activision loved it so much, should have put a ring on it, and EA went straight in and bought Brutal Legend, and they lost loads of money on that as well, and Deathspank. So I'm sorry, I'm on my EA. I'm always a bit love-hate with EA. I'm like, okay, they've done a lot of bad stuff, but they've done a lot of good stuff.
But my second point about the background with Bullfrog is that
so much hate.
I say they made a lot of good games, but and you might have come across this yourself, Jack. But I noticed that there was a third theme game: Theme Park, Theme Hospital,
Theme Aquarium,
which was originally only. This might be in a trivia section, but was originally only a Japanese release on the PS1.
Yeah.
Which turns out because the Japanese just love aquariums, like they love fish.
They have the best aquariums in the world.
Yeah, so they released this aquarium game. Apparently, it was terrible. I found out.
Yeah, it's awful.
But there's very little information about it on the internet.
Very little. Yeah, I looked it up a little bit, and I could find a few screenshots, and that was.
But the
literally
graphics were, I think, quite a bit worse than Theme Hospital, and it was released afterwards.
I've got Theme Park World.
That
for
was
the PS1 down there.
That was EA, right?
Was that still Bullfrog?
That was still Bullfrog. That was one of the very last games they did as Bullfrog.
Because the graphics
real
for that
Bullfrog.
were really, really cutesy.
Yeah, that was when they kind of were.
But I thought it was a shame that the third theme game wasn't the high quality title that Theme Park or Theme Hospital was.
If it was still Bullfrog around now and you wanted them to make a theme game, what environment would you make? What do you want them to make a theme of?
School.
School would be good.
No.
Space. Well, they made one called Startopia.
Well, that was
it wasn't Bullfrog, but it was a studio that came off of it. I think that was
game.
Big Blue Box.
Yeah, it was some people
Startopia.
from Bullfrog went off and made
A
stuff.
re-release of Theme Park with a Jurassic Park style.
Kind of
aspect to
exists
it.
on the
There's a new-
iOS devices, but it's like a Farmville.
No, there was a
Exactly.
dinosaur add-on for one of the tycoons, I think. Zoo Tycoon had a
Zoo
dinosaur add-on.
Tycoons,
Zoo Tycoon, yeah.
I'd like to see Theme Funeral Home. I reckon that'd be quite funny. No, I reckon that would be funny. Theme Graveyard as well, so you have to build plots of graveyards.
I'd like Theme Military Camp in Afghanistan.
Theme
no.
fairy tales.
Oh,
You have to mix fairy tales.
I thought you were going to say Theme Death Camp then for a second.
Theme Gitmo. No, if they made... Because they did Theme Park and Theme Hospital, and the Tycoon people were doing zoos and things.
Yeah.
I think if Bullfrog suddenly reformed and made Theme Zoo, that'd be fantastic.
Well, I remember when they announced Theme Hospital, it was quite a surprise. A lot of the previews magazines were like, why would they go from something so exciting about building like a theme park and then build a theme hospital? Like, a hospital's not very exciting.
The hospital's really
No,
fun.
I know, but and also when you
There's
think
a lot
about it, I looked up, I typed in Google, don't do this by the way, I typed in Theme Hospital Postmortem, because postmortem after a game, obviously whenever they make, they go over it and check how things went. But obviously I didn't realise that typing in hospital and postmortem, it's not going to get very good results. But I found a lot of stuff, and there was a few of the designers were saying how when they made the game, when they were quite far into development, they were like, actually this could be quite a morbid theme. Is things like death walking around and people dying
No, but
in
they do it
hospitals,
funny.
is that a bit morbid? But yeah, they did it really well. But when you actually think about it on paper, you think Theme Hospital, oh, actually that could be a bit nasty.
Well,
There's a lot of room for it
But
to get
that's
quite
I think that's why they give them illnesses that aren't real.
Yeah.
Is to make it less morbid. That's
Little
why
Jimmy
they give
has
them.
leukemia.
That's why they give them
Elvis.
ridiculous
The
illnesses.
Elvis impersonator one, that could be real, you know.
Well, yeah. Oh no, the Squits is also one of
Squits
them
is
as
broken.
well.
That's all-
bone,
that's horrible.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, Fracture Clinic.
But you may realise that... Wait, what were you saying? I've just forgotten what you may realise.
What's about what kind of theme would be like?
Oh, you may realise that Theme Park is quite fun and everything, but Theme Hospital gives you a lot of opportunity for very dry, kind of morbid humour.
Yeah.
I think that's slightly more adult.
Well, that's why it's kind of... I always think the game... Like, it's interesting Lausanne didn't know it was a British-made game, because I somehow think it's got a real British feel to it.
Yes.
Did you not pick up on any of... I mean, it's something
But
about...
obviously, you know,
something about
The
the
lady has a
Yeah.
British accent.
And something about the humour.
you know, they can buy that in.
Something about the slapstick humour of it.
Slapstick
There's
is
a lot of
American humour.
Sarcastic,
really?
dry humour in there.
Well, originally it's Italian, but the Americans took the physical comedy, we took the clever, witty comedy.
Oh, interesting.
That's how comedy
All
evolved.
comedy comes from Italy.
Yeah. Comedy as we know it today comes from Italy, yeah.
Wow. Why? Where? What do they do?
Something called Commedia dell'arte. I've spoken about it before on the show. The play I'm seeing tomorrow night is based on
What about
Commedia dell'arte.
ancient Greek comedies?
Well, Commedia dell'arte kind of came from ancient Greece, but their comedies were more just you saw the villain get their comeuppance as opposed to it being lol 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 lol, if that makes sense. Whereas
I see.
Commedia dell'arte actually made you laugh, whereas the Greek comedies they
Bit more
just
vulgar.
didn't feature death.
I just imagine these Italian, travelling troupe going to a country that's completely humorless.
That's what they did.
And then
They went to France.
and they say stuff, and like this person goes, "Oh yeah, this guy just said something that made me laugh. What is this?
No, but that's the thing.
What is this sensation I'm feeling right now?"
That's but that's why they
We
were
should
so,
try to copy them.
That's why they were so successful, was because it was the
Which-
slapstick, which was a literal slapstick, by the way.
Yeah.
It was a stick that was split in two. When you hit someone, the two bits hit together to make it sound like it was slapping
right.
together. Physical comedy, people hitting each other. It's hilarious.
That's awesome. Punch and Judy.
Yeah, Punch and Judy came from it. Pulcinella and Columbina were their original names. The characters Punch and Judy.
Colin Beaner.
Columbina.
Oh, Colin Beaner.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Don't get this on other retro gaming podcast, do you?
Oh, wait,
Well, you're tapping into one of my
high-level
specialisms.
education. Yeah, this is good.
This is one of my drama specialisms. Is
Speaking of-
but that's, yes, all comedy comes from ancient Greek, comes from Italy as we know it today.
Oh, I hope we get a tweet from someone going, actually, I think you'll find it comes from
They
Australia.
can try it. They can bring it. I've got a thirst for this in university.
Comes from Russia. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
Speaking of the comedy, one thing I realised about halfway through playing more recently, the guy who pops up in the bottom corner, he talks about the autopsy machine being discovered by the public.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just a funny joke originally. And then I realised the research machine in the research room, I realised that the patients that go in there and lie down in it, I thought it was just a scanner, they don't come out.
Yeah.
So it's just killing them right there. And I was always
Yeah.
sending all these people to research, like, I'll find out how to cure their disease. And I was like,
No.
they're not leaving.
I never realised that
You-
guy was the same guy from Theme Park, but he's just
Is
got
it
a
the same
doctor's
guy?
uniform on. Yeah,
Oh.
didn't realise.
But I thought that was
Gets
just a funny
around.
joke, and then I realised that was quite morbid because you're
Yeah.
sending people to die to
Yeah.
figure out how to. So I stopped sending people to research. That was
Oh, really?
We're
Yeah.
pushing a bit quick on time, so either we carry on talking or I do trivia.
Trivia.
What do you want me to do? Trivia. All right. You can cheat in the game. I want to say Horza was the cheat, but is anyone else sure? HORZA, but that might be a theme park. But I know that when you cheat, you have to type in a PIN number on the fax machine when you ever get the faxes through, and then the administrator would go, the hospital administrator is currently cheating, like that. And that's how also you get the secret rat level, or do you get that just as a reward
Oh
for
my
shooting?
god! I never knew.
If you shoot enough rats, you get the secret rat level, which
you can
jumps.
shoot the rats.
yeah. It turns into
Yeah.
a crosshair, a cursor.
You can shoot them. They go.
I did not
and
know
they
that.
explode.
and they explode
yeah.
into blood.
This game is awesome.
That's bizarre.
Pretty obvious one, but in the intro, there's a lot of characters from other Bullfrog games, including the Horned Reaper from Dungeon Keeper, which came out afterwards. And one of the people who's playing a Syndicate. Oh, a Eurocorp agent from the Syndicate series is there. And a doctor could be seen playing Dungeon Keeper on his PC before Dungeon Keeper had been released. Oh, that must have been blew my
Spoilers.
mind. And the arcade cabinet placed in the staff rooms plays High Octane, which is another Bullfrog game. According to the producer Mark Webley, the original game was going to use real diseases. However, it's pointed out that this would mean dealing with serious subject with the potential to offend some people, so the design switched to include comical diseases, kind of what I was saying before. All the opposing hospitals are named after after references that the team kind of liked. So Akira is one of the names of apparently the other hospitals. Akira?
Must have been later on in the game.
Colossus refers to the British supercomputers used to break German codes
Yeah.
during World War II. Deep Thought is from Douglas Adams' The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, one of the rivals. Howe is one of the rivals from Space Odyssey. Holly is one of the rivals from Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
Multivac is one of the rivals, which apparently
Yes.
is a number of the Isaac.
Asimov.
Thank you. I don't know how to say that. Works. And Zen and Auric are also two of the quite often competitors, and they're from a TV show called Blake 7, which is on the BBC.
Oh, I always wondered where they got their names from. They always
Yeah,
seem really
there you
random.
go.
Incidentally, the story that the multivac one came from is brilliant, and everyone should read it.
Sims 3 has a edition called Bloaty Headitis in a medical career as a reference to the theme hospital's bloaty head illnesses. In July 1997, this is how big Bullfrog was, the Right Honourable Tony Blair wrote in the Guardian newspaper that that Britain is innovative products are winning new markets for us. 9 out of 10 Formula 1 cars are designed and built in Britain. The Scion personal organisers, Bullfrog Electronic Games, the Dual Set Talk, they are all demonstrating the breadth of British product design. So apparently
Well, there's
recognisable.
an endorsement to die for.
Yeah, there's, yeah, true. And that's all my trivia, sadly. Not as much as I wanted on the game. It's funny as well because I know a guy I used to work with, I won't mention his name, but he was a tester on the game. So I know a few things about the game I can't really say, but there's like a lot of stuff, like the multiplayer mode, which came in as a patch quite late on in the game, was originally intended from the start, and they had to kind of leave it out and they couldn't do it. But, sorry, that was a chair breaking. But yeah, that brings us on to the retrograde part of the show.
Just sit still, Jack.
I can't, it's the chair, it's going all over the place.
It's you going all over the place.
Zan, you chose
Yes.
it. How are we grading this one?
Can I guess?
Yeah, go on.
Is it going to be something like a medical instrument or a treatment? or a disease?
You just guessed 3 things.
Oh,
Yeah.
Anthony, you didn't say what your 8 things to do that are fun. You didn't say which one this game was.
Well, I can let the readers go back, listen, and figure it out for themselves.
Oh,
Leave it in a 5-star iTunes review.
Sorry, go on, Dan. How are we grading it?
Types of bread. Baguette is too
Axe.
crusty.
No. I was going to do diseases from the game, but I think...
Disease from real life.
Yeah, disease from real life.
Whoa. They took those out of the game because they're too morbid.
Yeah, I know.
Ooh.
I'm bringing it
Please
back.
do disease in real life.
Diseases from real life.
Yeah,
Have you
yeah.
got yours?
Chickenpox.
Go for it.
Because as a child, it's harmless and actually a little bit of fun, but as an adult, you realise it can be quite painful.
Oh, that's really good.
Thank you.
You could die as an adult from it as well.
My mum doesn't remember me having chickenpox, which is kind of scary. She doesn't remember.
You'll probably be all right
Then
at the
again-
age you are now,
then
but
again, my
if you're
mum-
60 and get it...
My mum doesn't remember my first word.
I know I had it
Or
'cause
my
I got
birth,
a chickenpox
you know.
scar on my
God
face.
damn the alcohol.
So I know I had it.
I have a friend who got it when he was, this sort of age. And
It's called
You can't
shingles.
say this sort
This
of age,
age.
but your current age in your mid-20s.
It's called
yeah,
shingles
a
at
few
this
years ago
age.
you got it, so that's unfortunate, because you've got to stay at home for a week or so, just
It's
not
also
see your
meant to be
friends.
quite painful as well when you're an adult. I don't know what it is.
But it's painful when you're young, but you don't remember because you're young.
Yeah, I guess so.
I've got mine.
Well,
I'm going to liken it to a sprain. Because a sprain, when you have it, it is all-consuming. It's all you can think about because you're in constant pain no matter how many, ibuprofens you take. And it's always there, niggling away, and you just can't get rid of it. It's all you can think about. And then after about a week, it just goes, and it's fine, and you're okay. And so I think it's like Theme Hospital, because Theme Hospital, when you first get it and you first start playing it, well, for me, I was, hooked onto it for a week, solid, couldn't stop. And then I realised there was an outside again, and I wouldn't go back to it for like a couple of years. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
A
I got mine.
sprain. Chickenpox and a sprain so far.
A fever, because it's pretty fun.
Oh, because of the hallucinations.
yeah.
No, just because fevers are pretty fun to experience.
Well,
So-
Are they?
not really.
Well, I had a fever recently, and I found it pretty interesting to just sit there.
Was it
And
dance fever?
I get that every night.
Right.
But no, I had like an 8-hour fever about a month ago, and
Fevers are fun.
it was just pretty fun to sit there and kind of experience the sensation.
You're so weird. I'm really loving this right now. Oh, it's kicking in.
Well, if you don't have anything else to do, a fever's,
Were you lying there singing Peggy Lee's Fever the whole time as well?
I was actually sitting in a ferry port, so it was a bit of an interesting situation, I suppose. That's maybe what made
This
it fun.
is yeah.
Sure
this
you
is-
weren't just standing under a heater?
I don't think so. But I can't think of any other morbid disease to compare it to.
All right, I've got one. I'm going to give this an asthma out of 10 because lots of people. It's very popular, but it's like I don't really care. It's not important enough. It doesn't.
Asthma is
affect
very
me.
popular. Oh, like
A
a
lot
lot
of
of people
people have
have it.
asthma.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You're not bothered by it. So if I go, I'm having an asthma attack, you go, get out of my
Well,
face.
James,
of people
James
like
isn't
that.
going to catch it. Like your chickenpox.
See, it's not for you. It's not for you,
It's
asthma.
not for me. Really. Well, actually, I have asthma, so it's kind of funny. But, it's
Good.
alright.
That was kind of a bit of a flawed way to speak because there's no illness that's going to go because I love it apart from fever apparently.
Cancer.
Well, I couldn't think of
Cancers.
I couldn't think of an illness I liked, so that's why I went with fever because I remember enjoying my last one.
That's why I went for the experience angle
Yes.
as opposed to the enjoyment factor.
That's true. Well, good show. Yeah, that
Yeah.
done quite well. Isn't
Jack,
it? Yeah, good game.
By the way,
Go on, Anthony.
I'm wondering,
Oh, go on.
is there a way the listeners of this show, the people listening right now, yes, I'm talking to you, Nick, can get in touch with us?
Sadly, not. No.
Oh, okay.
What?
Goodbye.
Oh my god.
Well, do you want to guess
Don't
the
try
ways?
to-
Say it ain't so,
Guess the ways.
Jack.
Can they contact us on Facebook, for example?
They can. Do you know how?
No, I don't.
They just search for Retrograde on Facebook.
Search.
There's a little search
No
field,
way.
and they just like us. Make sure it's actually us and not some other shit.
Retrograde is one word or two?
One word.
Amazing. Was that your phone, Jack?
I can't believe
It wasn't
you.
my phone. No, do you know what that is? Oh, God, I hope that came on audio. I've got the weirdest virus on my computer that every half hour it plays a Spanish advert, and I don't know why. I think it's a toolbar that I've installed on Google Chrome, and every half hour
Oh,
this
you
voice comes on and
numpty.
goes, I know that's like Japanese
That
or
doesn't
something,
do
but I
that.
can't do Spanish. And I can't get rid of it. I've run every virus scanning, every registry backup, everything, and I don't know what it is. Every half
Have you
hour.
gone to add and install programs?
Yeah, no, I've searched for it. I've gone what's running in the background.
Have you turned it on and off
I
again?
have no idea what it is. It's like an alarm clock going off every half an hour, but for a Spanish advert. And
That's
I've even
hilarious.
had it where I've had the volume mixer up so I can see what's making the noise, and nothing appears. It's the weirdest bug I've ever had.
Have you tried uninnstalling Chrome?
I'm probably going to have to. I'm going to have to fix it.
Have you
'Cause
tried
last
buying a
night-
new computer?
Last night I was in bed and I was defragging it, hoping that might somehow fix it. And all through the night I should have turned the sound off, but I was too lazy because I was lying in bed. I get this Spanish advert playing all the time. If anyone knows what this virus is, because someone told me, because it's
What's
such
the
a-
advert for?
Well, I don't know because it's in Spanish.
Maybe you should buy it. It might be a really good
yeah,
product.
Subconsciously, I'm
So
going to buy it.
aside from
You're talking to you,
Facebook,
Jack.
aside
So,
from
sorry,
Facebook,
back on subject. They can follow some-
they contact us through what's it called? Tweet me.
Twitter they can at Retrograde Show, as a lot of people have been doing this week. A lot of
At
communication.
Retrograde Show.
At Retrograde Show.
At Retrograde Show.
Yeah, one
James,
word.
you want to guess a way they can contact
Can
us?
they send us parcels via carrier pigeon? Like 4 at once.
No, because we'll get them then.
Can they send us ravens from the wall?
Oh, don't even talk to me about Game of Thrones. 3 episodes in, it's already sucking.
Oh, what are you on about?
Okay, let's not
Oh,
start
God.
this.
You're so wrong. Anyway,
hell?
Oh,
anyway.
here comes another bearded character. Who's this guy?
You've got a beard.
Son of Aaron.
You are a beard.
Oh, who's son of Aaron? I don't even know.
Oh, you're such a loser. Right, so
Every sunlight I would sit by this window and wait for someone to come. Oh, shut up and kill somewhere, will you? This is boring. There's be a war going on. I can't tell.
If they want to tell us that they like the show, is there a way for us to
they-
is there a
We
good
need to wrap this
resource
up.
for them
We need
to be
to wrap
able
this
to
up
give us
quicker.
feedback?
Well, they can also go to the website, which is retrogradeshow.com to find a back catalogue of all our episodes. And they can also go onto iTunes and leave us a 5-star review, which if they do, they'll
On
get a free
iTunes?
badge. On iTunes. It's this new music playing program that I think is going to kick off really big.
Amazing.
You can get an
Can we
iPod,
Napster?
plug it in. It's on Napster. They can't review us on Napster. Or WinMX. We're not on there yet. We're trying to get there.
I'm missing
LimeWire.
What about Kazaa?
No.
LimeWire.
Kazaa, no, I mean,
LimeWire.
we could do a bit of ShareBear. Is not available either. We're working on it. I mean, those programs, they're quite hard. And I've lost a bit where I was talking now. You take me off script. And lastly, if they want to sponsor an episode, they can go over to psychon.org/sponsor. We'll be back in 2 weeks by, and I've not written the name of the game down, but I believe it's Zork, chosen by
yeah,
James
Zork.
Lefebvre.
Oh God, I forgot about this.
Zork.
Yeah.
I know I was going to have a go at you and say that's not the genre's died, but just this week there's been a new text-based game released, which
really?
is very, very popular. Do you want to quickly say why you've chosen
Jack,
Zork?
Jack, it doesn't matter if the genre's died.
Yeah, I know.
It's still a game
That's
that
better,
existed.
if anything. No, I reckon we haven't done a
Yeah.
text-based game, and they're quite a large part of gaming history. So I thought it'd be
Yeah.
cool to go back. I mean, I've never really played one. I know Zork is one of the most popular, and I thought it'd be exciting to go back and look at it.
I think since we all started with maybe NES, but probably usually SNES onwards,
Yeah.
that era, text-based was basically before that, because
Yeah.
obviously the NES had graphics.
Exactly.
And PC, text-based was more PC, and that was less graphically intensive.
Yeah.
And less people played games on PCs back then, I think. It was more like a hobbyist
Yeah.
rather than a
exactly.
consumer. So
Like
that's
Dungeons and Dragons, which also utilizes kind of
yeah,
imagination.
that's probably why we haven't done text-based, but I'd be interested to take a
I
look
remember playing a text-based one on a BBC computer at school.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing. That you
So
have to
I remember
make
that,
it
like in
work.
primary school when I was in year 2.
Well,
So yeah.
pretty sure I'll find out that game because it's a new text-based Eurogame. I gave it 9.1.
Oh, really?
But yeah, it only came out last week. Anyway, so thank you for listening, and that's goodbye from me, Jack Marshall. Goodbye from Anthony Hobday.
Goodbye.
Goodbye from Zan Fisher.
Bye.
And goodbye from James McFadden.
Rate as a review, please.
Staff announcement. Incoming patients with heat